All right, folks, this is the second video, so it's 2 of 2. We will start with MDB. We did MasterCard on the other video last. No, this is exactly, we stopped exactly where we wanted to stop. Mongo, not an obvious entry point, great move, great breakouts, great opportunity to fill the gap. So yeah, it could go to 320, but it's pretty late in the process. For me, when there's a gap like this, the real resistance starts somewhere around 300, 302. So that's my concern. So we can delete these here because those were correct and they're old news. This one is clearly so any dip into this zone 260 or below is very attractive from a trading perspective. Shorter term, the bulls are in charge. They will buy dips at several levels. You can see that 260 has been a pivotal level, so we will mark it. It deserves a special mark. I will call it a pivot zone. So if it falls into it, they will try to hold it, and if they come down to here, it's tradable. I'll put an alert. I don't know much about it. Bulls are in charge. They're buying dips. Oh, look at that. I did say maybe they're building an ascending channel. Oh boy, did they. Yes. So when I do this, it doesn't mean that touching lines. Behavior, buying dips. Look, dip, bought, dip, bought, dip, bought, dip, bought. A whole bunch of them. That's how you build an ascending channel. And that's what's happening. Dips will be bought until you hit a level that's too much resistance, and then you go sideways and then you start drooping lower. Meta, go all in. Mortgage the house, the kids, the dog, the cars, everything to go all in. No, I'm kidding, of course. Don't short it. It's gone. It could go to 320. I don't know. If it does, I would short it up there or get out, because it's rallying on a concept, just like NVIDIA on a concept. We know they're going to make money on the metaverse, hopefully in the future. We don't know how or how much. So yay, it's the dot-com bubble idea. It's the same thing. The dot-com bubble was they were buying up stocks to high heaven because of an idea, except they did it broadly. Every stock. Well, these are winners already. Like NVIDIA is a proven winner. This one is a proven winner. Google is a proven winner. So you give a proven winner an idea that is nothing but upside in money, they will take it to the moon. You can't short it. If you're a momentum trader, you can definitely ride the boat, but you have to evaluate your entries and sizes and all of that. At least buy a dip into one of these. So in 248, 248 or 240. If it ever comes back down to earth, then you can get engaged in size. Magna International. What is Magna? Engineering, manufacturing of automotive supplies. Okay, I've never heard of it. Support until it fails. 49.7. If you lose that, you get to 46 or 45. Okay, maybe 46. Huge support below that. So you do have support and backup support. That's the way you see it. So if I'm long by shares, I'm not panicking. If I wanted to get long, I could, but I wouldn't go all in because I might be able to buy it 20% cheaper, or 15 to 20% cheaper. A lot of resistance above. That's a fact. So be careful. There's no panic to get into it, is what I'm saying. Monday. What the heck is Monday? In the provision of enterprise social communication tools. Okay. Pretty peculiar business. You take this out, you will get up to here on a technical basis, but you have giant sellers at 185 and where it's at right now. So huge technical opportunities to get up here, but big levels before. So study the company outlook. Well, the P&L doesn't look that bad, does it now? Yeah, so as an investment, if you bought the dip, good job. You can ride it. You have an opportunity to spike. I wouldn't add into prior fail. I would add on dips. Wow, monster. I had one yesterday at the gym because I was about to pass out. So I needed a pep. It didn't do much. Bang is a better drink. But that's all he had. Definitely not a place for me to get engaged long. If I'm long, I'm out. I think they're going to sell it into 59.50. If they take out 60.5, they're gone another leg higher. But there's a chance it does this. but the market might be able to bump it up. MGA builds the following. That builds the cars or pieces of the cars? Thank you. MRVL. We traded that a few times. Whoa. Yep. We would not add here. What did they say? We discovered gunpowder? My goodness. Or the wheel. A good company. We knew to go long on dips. This is not a dip. When would I get long again? At 52 or lower. So this one, I guess I'll be brave to raise it up to here. And if it ever comes back to here, I would go long with tight stops. Until then, I would take it off my watch list. Microsoft, same. Great company with a forecast of a concept AI. You can't short it. If Microsoft takes out 350, it can rally another 50 points. So I don't want to tell you not to get in. I just want you to know you're riding on a bus that's moving 100 miles an hour headed into a wall. But if it busts through the wall, it's clear sailing. You understand? If they take this out, what are the bears going to short? Nothing. They're going to capitulate. Everybody that's ever shorted the stock has to cover. And so they will burst much higher. Imagine this happens this week. Holy moly. Because Microsoft is the second largest component in the S&P. Keep an eye on Microsoft. If we do have here's the problem I have. Monday, the US cannot trade. We've had the situation, we come into good news, they pop on Monday, and the US comes into Tuesday, and it's a disaster. Because the world trades on Monday and the US doesn't. Here's the better scenario. They pop Monday and they open up Tuesday, and then this stock will cause the S&P to finally put that February high and actually punch a hole into the August high before it to join the NASDAQ. So the question is, what the hell is the IWM going to do? I'm holding calls in the IWM. They're a little red. Interesting. All right. I'm not short anything right now. I don't remember that I am. All right. So that's an interesting stock from a macro perspective. MU, I don't want to be long. 76, 77 looks like a lot of sellers could be hiding. It rode the coattails of NVIDIA. NVIDIA saved the market last week. It's funny because the move was just neck-breaking. My God, the move was neck-breaking. And the funny part, side note, NVIDIA sales shrunk 2 quarters back to back. However, they set themselves up for such a high target for next year, this time, that the market celebrated it. Their sales shrunk last quarter to the same quarter last year. This quarter they reported shrunk to last year, this time quarter. So quarter to quarter from the year ago, they shrunk 2 times. But they said, we're going to go up like 40% in quarter 2 of next year. So their sales are going to go from like 7 to 11. I'm rounding. That's pretty aggressive. So I presented the idea. What happens if next quarter they come in red? So now they have only like 9 months to get it done. What do they expect? A product release in January of next year that's going to bring them an extra $4 billion in 3 months? Pretty aggressive. So hopefully they can do it. Otherwise, it's going to be a giant disappointment in that sector. Maybe somebody will say, oh, what we said, we didn't really actually mean it the way it came out. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so MU is riding the coattail of another company. I don't know. Mr. Semi, Ragu, somebody help us out with the concept. How come MU is following NVIDIA and how are they tied? I don't know what that is. Mueller Water Products. All right. Bulls are in charge. Nice channel up. Big problem up here. So they might continue slowly, deal with this problem, hopefully before they lose support. Okay. I guess that would go hand in hand. The memory chips are needed, which is what MU does. I'll take that. Net. too late to get long from a trading perspective. You're going into a prior fail. Now, if you take out 66, you will give a serious challenge to this one. And if you take out 72, this one is 72.4. If you take out 72.4, you could get to 84. Best done on a dip at least into 55 or 52. So if it gets to 52, that candle is viable. I would get long. Try to do that. Boink. Cloud flare. I believe we traded it on the downside. Sold puts in it. Sounds familiar. Great recovery from the earnings. It shouldn't be as easy, but if you do take out 66, like I said, convincingly, you may be able to take that out. So I wouldn't short it. Nike, I was looking for an entry point and I forgot why I couldn't. Oh, I will try this again this week because I couldn't find a contract that expires before their next earnings that gave me enough premiums. So maybe they'll have one this week. It does have a hole down to 102.5. You see it on the left side on the daily. And also, more importantly, its rallies will be met with sellers. Luckily, they fell so fast that those sellers don't have to show up until 115, 116. So it is firmly in the hands of the sellers. 111, 112, 113, 114, there should be sellers on different time frames. This way, this is going to rally if somebody upgrades it to a buy. Somebody reputable. Otherwise, I mean, it is tradable for sure. Company as well. ServiceNow. Okay, thanks for that, R2. I find myself saying the same thing over and again. Great rally running into prior resistance. The prior resistance zone expands from 590 to 508-ish, 505. So clearly they have more room to run if they wanted. I couldn't chase it up here from an investment perspective. One more thing. It could have $120. So the target could be 600, 580 to 600 from this neckline. Not easily shortable. So this is a buy the dip mode. So don't short it because it's run so fast. They're buying dips. They just broke out. They could bleed up to 580, 590, which then they will have a lot of sellers. 600, look at it. How much of a round number that is. Support, support, disaster, can't recover, can't recover. Now they're going to come back to it. If you want to see the visual of that, inverse head and shoulders, something like this. I do have lines. Boom, 600. Look, multiple shoulders, big head, multiple shoulders, breakout. Dips, buy the dip as a trader, you might curl back up. And you, what's that blue arrow? Okay, so it's going into a prior failure. So the zone is pretty wide. You can't short it outright, but you shouldn't chase it blindly. It is in the hands of the buyers. They are buying dips inside an ascending channel. Again, these are just behaviors. So they're buying dips. Buy the next dip. So choose your levels and your time frame according to your speed. Look how consistent they have been buying it. And now they're stalling. It could be a stall like this. Stall, stall, and then they take out the top end of that stall and they go another leg higher. So if they take out 7.1, they will get another 50 cents out of it. Otherwise, buy the dip that is about 40 to 50 cents. As a trade, I don't know much about the company. NVIDIA, all in. I'm all in. No, I am not. All-time high. Can't touch this. It's gone. So the shorts have capitulated. Nobody can short it because what are you shorting type of a deal. Buy the dip, I guess. This is the kind of stock where I say, all right, if I'm long, let me enjoy it. If not, I missed it. I can't tell you how many people have sold covered calls and stuck in that, which the move was crazy, absolutely crazy. So if I'm stuck in a covered call, like if I own shares or a call and I sold calls against it and I made money, I would sit in it until as long as I can because I'm not risking much. If I get called away from my call, so be it, or my shares. But if I need time, I should roll out and up in order to walk out of it. But it's going to take a lot of rolling. So I spoke to at least 6 people that were in that situation last week, and that they have plans. So if you're stuck in one of those, reach out. Maybe we can come up with something. But it's going to be difficult. You just need a drop out of nowhere. Like I said, some silly statement. Oh, we didn't actually mean we're going to make an extra $4 billion per quarter. I'm kidding. They're going to need something like that, though. Packard. Support here and support below that, and sellers getting more aggressive. So lower highs testing support. If this support fails, they'll do that again here. Going long into this zone from here to here is fine. Holding longs here is fine if you have a thesis on it. Trading it up from here, I'm not sure why I want to. They're selling the rallies. So maybe 72.50, 73, maybe. PENN, I believe I'm long. I sold puts on the dip. I would sell puts again. If I'm long, I can stay long because one little bump and they get to 27, and above 27 after a small dip, they can get to 28.5. Yeah, I am long. I sold puts and it wasn't a perfect timing on it, but I believe the puts are still good. And I offered a credit put spread also. Those trades were working. I could add calls for this pop because it could get me to here, but I'm not that guy. This is too thin for me. I can't make much money with just one physical dollar of upside on such a small stock. I would rather sell a lot of puts at the risk of owning a lot of shares of a good company than to have to spend money on calls. But that's my style. See that word that says support, support? Clearly those are now resistances. So I can, you've heard the term prior support becomes forward resistance. So this is going to be also resistance. All right. Pins. Nice rebound. The easy work is done. Gaps like these are not easy to crack into. It would help if they get to 25. Maybe they'll take another $2 out of it. Right now, this is, wow, look how accurate that is. So this is an area of contention, clearly. 2470. You take that out, maybe you can get to 26, 26.5. At which point I would exit my longs as a trader, not an investor. Otherwise, buy the dip into support, 23, 22.5, whatever. They could come back down one more time and draw it. So if you're optimistic and they don't do it this week, maybe they can do it after a little dip. That type of a deal. Then resistance up here. Well, anyway, you get it. I don't want to mess around with it too much. Palantir, I left my longs definitely too early. I missed out on $2 of upside. No way I would start longs here if I'm a trader. We're back into an area from last year, April, May-ish. February, April, May. So the easy work has been done. Somebody flipped the switch on it, and now I would be in the mode of buying dips again in Palantir. I do like the prospects of the company, but I feel like I lost the advantage owning shares. So I just got out of it. It was a nice win. It wasn't a perfect exit, but I'm not going to cry over it. I would be buying dips. If one day they hate it for reason A or B, I would jump all over it again aggressively because it paid well. This one, nice rally, nice rebound, nice takeout of this. Takeout, no takeout, we'll see. Because 18 is also a huge problem, and so is 19. So they have a problem at 17, 18, and 19, and they're trying to deal with it. So as long as they hold 16, 15.5, they can come back and deal with those 3 levels one at a time. So it's a buy the dip mode in order to take out prior fails that are significant. And luckily on the lower time frame, they are in a buy the dip mode. PayPal, my nemesis. I sold puts at 55. I got reached out by several people. What have you done? Time to move it. I was like, I'm not doing anything with it. Give me the shares. That's all I'm doing. I don't understand what's going on here. I may be missing a giant thing, so hopefully I'm not. P&L is good. I don't know why the stock is falling precipitously. The only thing I can think of is the fact that retail stocks are under fire. So maybe the market is pricing out a bad retail outcome for this year, the rest of the year. And these are transactors, but PayPal is falling out of sync with the rest. Like MasterCard and Visa were trying to break out, while these two, It and Square, are trying to hold on to dear life. So even Square trades better than this one. Even Affirm trades better than this one. This one is a better company. So we'll see. I may take losses, but so far I have paper losses on the sold put that I have not realized. Meaning if I don't do anything, I don't have those losses. But I have them on paper. It's a drawdown for sure. So worst case scenario, I wake up one day owning shares at 55. And I would sell the shares. I think the losses, unless it collapses, the losses will be less than actually booking a loss on the actual sold put. RBLX, nothing to say here. There's no advantage. The bulls have strength, the bears have strength, and they have disadvantages. Look at this. This is crazy. So I drew this green one. Rallies will be sold. Came to fruition. I said, okay, this can repeat. And look at this wick. Down here, credit put spread. I gave it to somebody. I don't think I took it for myself. And now the bulls are in charge on a 2-hour time frame. They're trying to. They have to deal with 42. So now if they cannot take 42.6, 43 out, they're going to probably fight in that zone for a little bit. So they're stuck in muck right now. 10 times earnings per share. No, valuation matters, especially if they're not growing. I haven't looked at it, but it's definitely not falling precipitously. So the price action in PayPal is like the company is deteriorating, and it's not. Yeah, well, I did too, Brad, and it's not playing out right. Although the credit put spread is only a little bit losing last time I checked, but it's annoying. Okay, so SAVA. Loss of this area 24 scares me a little bit, because now the sellers have potential to sell the 24-25 pop and bleed lower and test this. So I'm going to tell you, this loss could test 22, and if they lose 21.4, they will be in teenagers again, because SAVA can be in the 18s versus a spike to high heaven. If you take out 28, 29 for whatever reason, whatever headline, you can get the 36 or 40. And this is the kind of stock that can do that. I wouldn't invest in it for that purpose. I want you to know that there's a battle between bulls and bears, and it's a matter of lines. Nobody has control. They're pivoting around the control. Starbucks. I think also I saw a Starbucks headline about some social issues in India. That's a lot of people to piss off over there. So if that's the case, I don't know, verify, step away from it. Headlines like this do affect sales. And I wouldn't want to be engaged. And not only that, technically, support zone must hold. If this support zone fails, you will get to buy it in the 90s, like low 90s, 90, 91, 88, 89. So target 1 has been met of that red thing. That's target 1. Target 2 is 87. So the rally is what I'm saying. Should be met with sellers. And if they do this and they come back to here and they lose that guy here somewhere, they could do some sort of a thing like this. That is possible. So I would say, whatever that is. Okay, I'm going to bring this to here. Repurpose. Beware. You like it for a pop? Okay, so I don't have a reason for it to pop. And if it does pop, I can tell you there are going to be sellers into 103. All right, Schwab. I wouldn't touch it here. We sold puts in Schwab. I did, at least, in the live room. And made money. All of those efforts I did in Schwab and KRE and all of that broke me even with the losses on FRC. I got put stock of a company that went belly up. And Wall Street screwed us by doing their shenanigans and reopening it as FRCB. I really don't understand the purpose other than washing out all the options messes because they don't know who sold to what. Anyway, long story short, it's a good stock to buy the dip on headlines that it's going out of business, because I don't think it is. But I wouldn't touch it. Now, technically, if you take out 56.5, 57, maybe you can get to 62. I would be buying dips in this one by selling puts. Put spreads. I don't want to sell puts anymore in these stupid banks. But if I own shares, I'm stuck, right? Yeah. Support into 47. Otherwise, 30s are coming. And remember, a stock can fall through no fault of its own. Right? They could get stuck in a headline of sorts, banking related, stock market wide related, giant move in the bonds that they hold related. That's what caused FRC to fall, SVB to fall. I think FRC as well. They were holding assets that went on fire sale. So they thought they had this much money in assets, but then the rate hikes made those assets crap in value. So then they didn't have any collateral to borrow and they couldn't meet their draws. So this one is consolidating very, very well. So if a stock goes from point A to point B, spends a long time consolidating in a very clear range, 25.1 versus 22.5, you take out 25.1, you're going up to here. So if somebody's staying long for that perspective, that's fine. This one I would be out. It looks like 64 is a pretty hard seller, and look for entries on dips. SMCI. So we bought the dip for that in that one for like 10 minutes, and then it did this. So I remember selling naked puts, and it was way out there, and then basically it did this. I don't know who submitted that, but I don't know what you're asking me here. Permission to book profits? Permission granted. If you're asking me if it's a good time to get long, do I need to answer that? I'm going to be nice. No. Snow. Also no. I'm long by sold put, which is funny, Brad. Played out. I would buy the dip into 160. Anywhere below 164, it would be interesting to me. Let me see something here. All right, so a little bit more high time frame comments. This is still going on. They are buying dips into a very mild ascending channel. They're going into a cluster of sold weekly. So this is a 2 months of failures, which is months and months of support and battles. It shouldn't be easy. So them taking out 205 should not be easy. I know that's miles away, just to give you where it's at. Where they're failing makes sense. So everything I said works on the opposite. So they should have plenty of support on a big picture. Now we're zooming in. A whole bunch of support scattered. So from a trading perspective, yes, it is going long. You can go long. If you bought the dip here, you did well. I think I did. I can't remember. Maybe I have something here. 421. I'm pretty sure I'm long somehow. Rallies will be met with sellers into here. This is an eventual trigger, but boy, that was a long time away. So it's stuck. Iron condors could work. Credit put spread could work. Buying some shares could work. I wouldn't add to existing positions. I could sell a put to own shares. A whole bunch of stuff. Hi, DP. Yeah, DP is new. So yeah, we record these. I will post them, 2 videos, a little bit later. It takes about an hour for YouTube to translate it into high def. And I'll post them in the chat room for you, DP. Look for them there. They will be alphabetical. You just have to fast forward. Sometimes somebody nice in this room actually indexes them inside of a spreadsheet. So you look at the spreadsheet and you click on that. That's amazing, Ray. Thank you for doing that. SOFI. I'm holding a position in SOFI. So I recommended that we buy shares somewhere around the 570, somewhere here. And then somebody downgraded them and then it fell apart. And then I said I'm buying calls in the money at 4. Why? Because I hadn't bought shares, because I was long other SOFI-like stocks. I was like, I don't want to add to my problem. If I didn't have those other stocks, I would add SOFI, so I added, but after the fact. And if I own it at 570, I'm not doing anything. The idea of owning SOFI was a starter position as an investment on a speculative company for the future. And that is still a correct statement. It's down 30 cents from the day I said you can buy shares, so not a big deal. If you were part of the people that bought calls with me after the fact, the second batch, those calls are very profitable. So if you did both, close the calls and you can ride the shares. Because the calls expire in a month, the shares are not time sensitive. And then you'd be whole. Square, I'm long by a sold put, and it's played out to almost to its maximum gains, or maybe halfway through. Anyway, the sold put is working. I could add puts sold, which is bullish position. If on dips, the company is good, and it's just like PayPal, only trades a little bit better. They're under pressure from, I think, the retail disaster or expected disaster. I don't think there's a disaster in retail, but we had a super strong pull forward 3 years after the pandemic, which was unusual. The fact that we're not falling off a cliff is phenomenal. Maybe that's a delayed reaction. We'll see. Oh boy. No clue what that is. Very choppy. You should know that there is support at 15 or 14 and a half. If you lose 15 and a half, I can almost guarantee you 14 and a quarter, which would be a good entry point. Oh, look at that. Would be target 2 of a harmonic. That red thing, target 1 just met. Target 2 is 14 and a quarter. That's amazing. STNE, if you chased it, I don't know what to say. If you're looking to get long on dips, there's your opportunity. So you see these upside potentials. Stonko, is that the Brazilian transactor? Is it? Cayman Islands. Gotta love companies that are in the Cayman Islands. Support below into 1150. So anybody buying the dip is looking to do that. Boing. So I don't mind that concept. So there should be buyers on the 1 day chart. This is the big picture. That's what the carrot you're chasing. Right? I haven't looked left. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. That's going to be a giant cluster of sellers. So let's zoom in. So here's the problem though. Shorter term, rallies into 1350 should be met with sellers. So they could bleed down to 10.5 or 11, which would be a good trading entry point to try to recapture that. Is it? I wouldn't know. Suncor. So Suncor is the first stock I was ever assigned shares in. Made money on it. I got assigned on Friday, so I woke up Monday, and the stock was up $1, and I think I was assigned 2,000 shares in my younger years. Panic at first, and then I was like, wait, I get to keep my original premiums, and I get to make another $2,000. That was insane. It was a happy day. So look left. Strong buyer there. If somebody's getting long now for a rebound, that's great. If you're looking to add into existing positions, I wouldn't. If you're looking to start positions, okay. As long as you know that if they lose this, you might be able to buy it in the low 20s. Because I think rallies into 30 and 31 will be met with sellers hard. Look at how hard the sellers are for a month and 2 months. April, May. Trying to hold the floor. So they need to take out 29.50 and 30.50 for me to breathe. I think this was a typo. I don't know what that is. SYY. Ooh. Cuidado. Achtung. Intibe. Attention. Be careful. If you lose 68, you're going down to here. They're trying to hold on to dear life. So this is where you say, okay, I can go long and stop if it doesn't work. You can do that. If somebody's trading it, they want to get long for a bounce, you can. But I tell you, they're going to be sellers into 73.50 or 74. In fact, it may start at 72.50. So you should just know that that happens. What are the bars on the left? These guys are volume. So this tells me that this area here is heavy in volume. In fact, this whole area, which makes it heavy resistance. Somebody's asking what are these volumes? But the trip from here to here, not a lot of resistance, if they want to, from the volume perspective. Team did sell puts on dips, and they worked out well. Not a good place to start longs, but be on the lookout for, let's say that they cannot take out 72 now, 172, that there should be buyers here. And if they are able to do this kind of a deal, they can have more upside from it. So let them draw the right shoulder of a head and shoulders. And this can be much lower too. Even if they go down to here, buyers. So I would get long inside this white box. So on a dip to here, I would sell put spreads for the swing back up. And then I would add calls when I have more clues that are short term that they've bottomed. Look at the 30-minute buyer. They're totally in control, but now they start to face sellers. So TEVO, not to be confused with TEVO. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Chart's not going to help you here. You're going to have to do homework on that. Target. Don't buy. Don't buy. Don't touch this. I'm telling you, this can be $80 if they don't hold this. And I think it's an assault in social media on this company that decided to make some statements that are political. I don't know if it's political the right view. Anyway, they got themselves into a social media war of words. And I don't know who wins. Technically, it's if you don't hold here, you're going to 90 or 80. That's what I'm saying. And if you do rally here, you're going to face sellers at 160 and 170. Let me see my lines. Pandemic base, interesting. So earning, my read is that the options action, I would not hold calls. Boy, that was correct. So here's the thing. This guy, gap risk, I'm going to move it like here. Must hold. Else 90 minus. The drop can be as big as that. Okay, I don't want to scare people, so I'll stop it where support was. Thank you, Lonnie. Hey, Lonnie, good to see you here. TLT. This is the wild card de la semaine et du mois de juin. June, this is going to be some fantastic stuff going on. We either collapse or we rally really hard. So I don't expect this purple color to come, like purple arrow. This will come in an instant if we default on our debt. The way I explained it, I am not an expert. This is my guessing based on simple logic. If I'm a borrower that has bad credit, my interest rate to borrow is high. If the US defaults on its debt, it becomes a borrower that has bad credit, so its bonds rates will be super high. If its bonds rates are super high, the bond prices are super low, which is what this thing is. This is the one bond, the 20-year Treasury bond price. I think will collapse. Now, if we do pass a deal, this one will spike to high heaven. There's not a lot of movements in bond prices, so we could see something neck breaking this week from this guy. Up or down, I don't know, but you guys tell me that it looks like there's a deal. So I would not be surprised to see a breakout this week that gets it to 120. I wouldn't hold calls because it's a binary bet. Maybe straddles. Buy both if you have a chance on Tuesday, or if you know how to trade ZN and ZT, the futures. They open tonight and tomorrow morning. But you need to know what you're doing. That's the story on the TLT. Tesla going into a prior fail zone. So it's going to have a hard time. So Tesla, when it broke down to the double digits, we called it. We charted it. And I said, if it doesn't go above 215, I forgot what number it was. on a weekly basis, it's going to go down to 140, maybe even 2 digits. Those were my exact words, and it did that. Those were the purple arrow. That was my arrow. That was the total arrow that was supposed to go. Now it's going back into that neckline. Huge pivot zone resistance. See it? They need to recover that convincingly to get out from under the thumb of the weekly seller. Going down to a daily, you can see where that problem is. Doink, doink. So if you take out 220, 218, you can get to 260. I'm saying that emphatically. And if you trade sideways head and shoulders, there's one right there. Okay, but I don't do that. But some people do. So I go by levels. That sideways inverse head and shoulders that has a target of up here would trigger from here and confirmed out of here with a lot of resistance. So buy the dip in Tesla still works, but over the weekly, yeah, they're making higher lows, but they're also making lower highs in a big battle. So Tesla is not a beast you want to mess with. TTD, that must be old. We'll take it out. They're looking to break out from this to test that. Interesting chart. So you're going to have to trade it. The buyers are in charge consistently for a while. So it's only a matter of time for them to take these out. Maybe, maybe not. This is like Amazon, pretty tough. They're going to need a headline. This might be enough to get them above here. We'll see. Buy the dip mode, sure. Investment wise, I'm not sure I want to jump in here. If I'm long as an investment, I'm not adding, that's for sure. If I'm looking for an investment for the long term, I don't know why I should start here. Okay, here's another statement. If you split this action from here to here in half, you will get this area. You have just as much action above it as below it. You can say the bears won that fight, and the bulls have failed once, have failed twice, and they're trying a third time to get out from under it. I would give advantage to the bears from around 72 to 76. Do you have time at the end to do SIG? Yeah, we can. TWLO. Oh my gosh, the biggest win of the year for me on a percentage basis. When it fell, we sold puts, and then in the live room, I, on a whim, added calls, and the calls went ballistic. I got stopped out at my maximum profit because I sold a covered call. Great company, grows really fast. People misunderstand it. I would look to buy the dip. It doesn't mean it doesn't get to 70. It could, but I'd be interested in buying dips. If next week they take out 64, they can probably get to 70 in that same week or within 10 days. So don't short it. Please buy the dip. Don't load up because I just said that. All right, UNH is trying to find support. This stock doesn't trade very well in options. It's illiquid, the quotes are wonky, and the fills are horrible. Otherwise, I would sell naked puts in it. So if it holds here and here, if it loses this, which I don't see that happening, the markets are crashing because this is a giant piece of the Dow, and I've never seen the Dow crash and the other ones not. So I think they just will crawl higher on the daily chart. You have to recognize that there are sellers into 500. So maybe credit put spread while you wait if you can get a quote and a fill. Upstart, I left it. Did I break even on it? I think so. I'm not sure. I made double the money on it, and I stayed in it twice, and then it fell apart for a long time. And during the spike, I don't know where I did get out. I really don't know on what day. I know I did not catch the top for a fact. I don't think I lost money on it. So I just gave up on it. Why? The reason I entered it is no longer there. The reason I entered it was explosive growth, and that's no longer happening. In fact, it's shrinking, and the expenses are growing a lot faster than the sales. So, and this is a lending problem. What if they don't find buyers for their loans? They can't lend. They had explosive growth because they were flipping their loans. They lend, they bottle them up, and they sell them. I don't know how long they can sell their loans. This environment is pretty tricky. I know I have a few friends that do mortgages. They're dead in the water. USB. I don't want to deal with small banks. I don't know how small that bank is. Maybe not very small, but I really don't. Like this one pays 6.2. I would rather own Verizon that doesn't have any banking problems as shares to collect more than 7%. So technically 32 is a problem, 34 is a problem, and 37 is a problem. And rallies are being sold. USO. You don't want to hear my notes on the USO. I think it's still too high. I think oil will come down a little bit more. The story of oil explosive growth because of in the future is a false narrative with all the other. Something has got to be a lie. We can't be doing ESG and calling for extremely high oil because I don't buy it for a minute that we will have fewer people interested in pumping oil because OPEC will die without oil. Most of the oil companies in OPEC will have nothing else going on. You're going to tell me they're not going to pump to play along with our ESG? No. And if we're stepping away from the use of oil, we're going to have a ton of overlap of oil supply. So where is the spike in oil coming from? War, maybe, but then the U.S. will start pumping. They will say, screw it. I use the extreme. Let's say the U.S. gets cut off from all the oil producers. Let's say OPEC says, no more oil for you, U.S. Russia says, I don't know if we buy from Russia. We don't sell you oil. China, I doubt that we buy oil from China, but let's say we do. And China says, no more oil for you. What are we going to do? Oh, we decided not to pump. We can't have oil. You better ride bicycles. Yeah, that's okay. How do you defend your country without oil? So we will pump again if that happens. So any which way you slice it, where the hell is going to be the shortage of oil? Electric bikes. I don't get it. The big picture, I know there are other intricacies that I'm touching on like very glibly, but I'm telling you the picture, I just don't see where we have a shortage of oil. It's a decision to not have oil, not a fact. Okay, having said that, this stock is in the hands of the sellers and it better get back to 70 quick. 69 might give it some life. If they don't cross 66 and hold and get to 68, I think they will lose 58 and be in the low 50s, if not the high 40s, over time this year. So let me say it again. This is a fact. It's not a fiction. The sellers are in charge, selling the moving averages like clockwork, plus or minus. So every rally has been sold. You can see it. Rally sold, rally sold, rally sold, rally sold, rally sold, and lower high, lower lows. If they make another lower low, which is losing this one, they would have confirmed that one more time. So how do you stop that? You get to here, you drop, you hold this, and then you get a higher and eventually take this out. So you will develop higher highs, kind of like what the market just did. The market just did that. Higher lows and made higher highs. That hasn't happened here. Fake out here, 1 minute. Anyway, so maybe that's it. Higher low and take that high out, then you'll be up here. Until then, there's a danger that this area here becomes a wall on the USO. That's enough. Spent a lot of time here. This company here is falling into support. I don't know the company well. Earnings are coming soon enough, not too soon. So it is worth a shot from the long side with stops. As a trader, this is a head and shoulders that has a downside target here. But I also think that these deserve respect. Say, it has a pretty hard bounce. Let me try along with stops. I can see that happening. So short term, like USO, it has a seller into 1380. I think they need to get to 14 and then hold 1340 and then come back and test 14 a little bit higher to get to 1480. Otherwise, I would stop out quickly so I don't guess how deep it falls. Verizon, I would own shares. I'm pretty sure I said this week I would buy shares at 34.90 or something like that. So those shares are working. And this is a starter position for a person that wants to collect interest. 7.5%, 7.4%. Of course, the higher the stock goes, the lower that number is, but it's still a healthy dividend. I would trade it, but also if I needed fixed income, that's a relatively secure company. Nothing is safe because it's a company. US Steel stuck in the middle of the range. Buyers into 21, sellers into 22.50. You take out 22.50, you can get another $1. You lose 21, you're at risk of getting to 20.2. At risk, not forecast. Exxon, again, like Chevron, excellent company. Management is super strong. They have a problem at 109, 108.5. This one right here. You take that out, you get to here. Otherwise, you're going to continue bleeding lower. Let me see my lines. Let me go down. All right, so this I said, watch out for the bounce and the fade. Well, they bounced higher than I thought, and they bounced here, which is good because they didn't even come to here. So the bears made a mistake with this. Had they not done that, this would have been scary enough to some people to get hesitant. But they're not out of the woods. So watch. If they lose 102, alert 1 of 2. This could trigger the loss of that. Could. And if they do lose that, they will be down here, which would be a tremendous buying opportunity for somebody that wants to own a company that pays a decent dividend. Right now, it's not a decent dividend. It's like 3.4. It's too high for me. Again, they don't control the price of the widgets they sell. Zion, is that a bank also? I think so, yeah. Everything I said about the other banks, same here. Yeah. Since I don't know it, I wouldn't want to touch it under any circumstances. But it looks like they have a seller at 33 and change and a hard buyer below 22. So if you play those two lines cautiously, you're okay. But I really don't know anything about Zion. It's above the 100, okay. It still doesn't comfort me. You know, FRC probably was, but anyway, probably not. Who is this? Zoom. Went long, was good timing. Sold puts into fear. Some people bought calls. Did I buy a call? I don't remember. I think I bought a call. But I did buy the dip, and it delivered. It's a decent company. I know Regu, it has competition. Nobody that competes against Microsoft has a good time. But I think these guys, I'm impressed with the management style. So I'm not a diehard, like I'm in it to win it, like they're going to 1 million. But down here, it did not deserve to be this low after the pandemic, because it just didn't. It doesn't make sense that anyway, their P&L held up much better than their stock. That's what I'm trying to say. Their P&L is not represented well by the stock price. So here's the good news. You take out 72, I think they get to 82 with a lot of resistance. So now the job of the bulls is not to fall below 64, 63. Okay? To take out this to get to here. So if I'm long, I can stay long. Zscaler, woo-wee, did that play. Going into earnings, good grief. So this is target 1 and target 2 of that green M. This is target 1 of that giant green M. So there are two bullish bets. One played out completely, that smaller M. That bigger M, target 2, is up here. So God knows what they're going to do in earnings. I would not short the stock. Technically, 140, 145 should be death. It should be a big pivot zone. So I guess I'm going to, it's just like this one. They better say AI, 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 AI this, AI that. Dune 1 payable on 8. Dividend rate announced. Oh, okay. So they made money. Thank you for that on Beto. Sweet. All right, that's it. All right, folks at home, I thank you for watching at home. You might want to join us on Sundays. It's pretty cool. So I'll stop recording right now.